friends. We are here in Romans chapter 15. And this is, the book is kind of winding down here. There's only one more chapter after this. And even in this chapter, you can see these winding down. So he starts off by talking to those who are strong. He means strong in their faith, but also their, their freeness. From the last chapter, there were people that were kind of, wondering whether or not it was okay for them to eat meat. The people who are strong know that they're free to do these things. But he's saying here, those who are strong need to look out for those that are weak. If someone's weak in their faith, you need to make sure that you're encouraging them. And so, apart from what it was saying in the last chapter, this could mean many things. And it's a very important point. I remember there was a girl who, in my church, she was in the college group, and she was a new Christian, and there was somebody else in the group, and we were talking about this girl, and she was like, I don't know if she's not acting like a Christian at all. She doesn't talk like a Christian. I remember saying, she's a very new Christian. The ways that she, she's got a very long way to go before she's where you are at, but she's doing great. She's really starting to understand it. And so, if someone's struggling in their faith, just kind of be patient with them. If they're a new believer, or maybe if they're an old believer that doesn't have very strong faith, we can have patience for these people. I like this at the end of that last paragraph. He called God the God of patience. And I don't know why I like that so much. But to think of God as the God of patience, it really it really does make it feel like, we really need to just not get so angry with Christians who aren't perfect yet, because none of us are. But he keeps going, and he's basically, I feel like a lot of this book, he's talking to the Jews about accepting the Gentiles. And so he kind of reaffirms that. I think he even said it in this book. He's giving these Old Testament, he's citing these Old Testament words where it's very clear that God has always been the God of the Gentiles, and that Jesus was always meant to be the Savior of the Gentiles. And he says, I teach nothing except for what I have already been doing here, and that is, my ministry to the Gentiles. He needs to make it known to the Jews that what he's been doing is something that he has been directly commissioned by God to do. And I feel like it had to be someone like Paul, because here Paul is, what do you call it, Pharisee. Everybody knew that he was very zealous for Judaism. And so he's just kind of like re-saying, like, we're bringing the Gentiles in, this is their Savior. So from there, he kind of ends it. I feel like, to me, this is where he's kind of like ending his teaching. I don't know if that's where other people are saying, but to me, he's saying, these are my last words. And then everything coming after this, I kind of feel like is more personal. The letter was very general from here on out, and then it gges kind of personal to the church itself. Oh, I'm so sorry.
That's my bad.
So, so Paul starts speaking basically about what he's doing, and he said something that is specifically interesting to me. He was saying, I went all throughout, the world, preaching to the Jews and the Gentiles, and he even said, I went as far as Illyricum. Now this is interesting to me because Illyricum, I know, is modern day Albania. And I've been to Albania, and they're very proud of the fact that Paul came to Albania. And I think the reason that Paul mentions it, if you've ever been to Albania, you'll notice that there's a very heavy Roman influence there, even today. If you talk to an Albanian about going to like the big city and making money, the way that American might talk about New York City, they will always talk about going to Rome. Rome to them is the big city. Anywhere in Italy is like that's where we go if we're gonna make it in this world. So yeah, it's very close. And so I think what Paul is saying here is, I was almost there. I almost came to see you once before. And he's saying, I'm coming to see you again. And he's excited. He's like, on my way to Spain, it's my hope that I will see you. And one thing that he states, is very important to him. And I think that maybe this might be his most important part of this chapter. And he's like, I urge you to pray for me. I really need prayer. And he knew it too. So in the book of Acts, you'll know that when he went to Jerusalem, he says Judea here, but he's meaning the same thing. He says, when I go there, just pray that I'll be accepted there. Now we know that he's arrested there, and through through being arrested, he ends up going to Rome because he appeals to him. So he kind of goes that way, but he's nervous about it. So he's worried about going back to Jerusalem. And, for a good reason. We know what's going to happen there. But he's asking them to pray. He says something else that's interesting to me. He says that when he goes back to Jerusalem, he's going to bring basically an offering that the Gentiles took to bring back to Jerusalem. And he says, and this is right, because here the Gentiles are sharing in they're sharing in the blessing that has been given to us. So why don't they share in their riches? We know also from the book of Acts that there was a famine in Jerusalem. And so Paul might be bringing this up because he wants the Jews there in Rome to know that the Gentiles really do love the Jews and appreciate it, at least in some places in the world. But it really should also tell us, that we really should, I know that in some forms of Christianity, there's a lot of anti-Semitism. And if you read this book, and if you read, any of the New Testament, you should know that that's absolutely not right. We really owe it to the Jewish people to, for being God's chosen people and for, sharing in the promise. We really do stand with them. We hope for the salvation, and we hope for their recognition of the Savior, but we really should do all that we can to love them. So, yep, that's Romans chapter